NTV Wild Talk in partnership with the Kenya Wildlife Service and Wildlife Direct.
Hello and welcome to NTV Wild Talk with me, Smriti Vidyarthi. Today we are still coming to you from the Amboseli National Park here in the county of Kajiado. This is part 2 of last week's show, and we're here also thanks to the Oltakai Lodge that's accommodating us, and this is why we're here.
And by the way, elephants, they do die because of the teeth.
Last week on NTV Wild Talk, we met 2 women who know pretty much everything about elephants.
And elephants, they have their personalities. And I can see elephants, they are just like human beings.
When the mother gives birth, there's this what we call allow mothers. They take care of the calf.
Katito Sayalel and Noran Jiraini are assistant researchers at the Amboseli Trust for Elephants, founded by director Cynthia Moss. Vicky Fishlock is the resident scientist, and together the 4 women have spent years and years studying elephants closely and revealing crucial findings on their behaviour and characteristics. This week we learn more about these incredible matriarchs of Amboseli. So I am with Katito once again this week, and you will remember her from last week. She is a research assistant at the Amboseli Trust for Elephants, and we are out here viewing an incredible herd of elephants. Now, Katito, this is amazing for me and probably our viewers because we don't get to see this all the time. You do because you work here, but it's still special for you, isn't it?
It is my passion to do a job like this. Not easy. Because I can imagine how many people pay or save a lot of money just to come and see. And this is my employee, and I get money for this project, for the work I'm doing. So I can say I'm so lucky. But I've been dying to get a job like this because I remember when I was in primary school, I used to walk 4 kilometers to go to school, another 4 kilometers to come back, total 8 kilometers. So I started to see elephant when I was 8 years old. So
really?
I started to fall in love with them from beginning. And when I'm in a vacation in holiday, I used to come to Amboseli. So I've been dying, say, I wish my dream, when I finish my school, I'll come and do this job. And my dream came true.
Oh wow, it certainly did. Yeah. I mean, these guys are incredible. Katito, why do you care so much about elephants? What is it that keeps you going with this job?
The way they are, and also to protect them for poaching and knowledge other people what is important of elephant. Because you can also see just an elephant just walking, just that is an elephant. So the more we tell people what elephant mean, they're also like human being. Like if they lost one of the members of the family, it is so sad and emotional. I can tell you the story. I was holding, everybody know Echo of the elephant, the female call about Echo. When she died, I stayed with her for 24 hours. I remember it was 1st of May 2009 because she was the matriarch since the project started, when Cynthia started when she saw her, she was dragging herself. And you know, when they get that certain age, they cannot feed in hard stuff, they feed in papyrus. So all the time she go into the swamp and feed in the swamp. I look at her and then I just shake my head. I say, she's not going to make it. The following day, because she came and collapsed near on the Oltakai Lodge, I found her. She's not dead yet, but she was just kicking. And then I came out of the car and the members of the family, they were just surrounding her. And they were just like kind of, they were not believing like she's dead and she's dying, but not yet. She was just kicking, and the rest are just surrounding her. She has a close daughter called Enid. She was born in 1982. She's so young. And she has a sister. Echo had a sister called Ella. But when she was dying, Ella was not there. She was so mean. She was not getting along with her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she was not there when all those things happening.
Right.
So Ini, she was there, and Ini, she's young, and normally the second oldest female, when Echo died, the second oldest female, she take over. Yeah. So when Echo was dying, the rest of the members of the family, and she had a daughter. She was born. She was 3 years old by that time. So she was just lying in her mother, grabbing her mother, and the rest are kneeling down to lift her, but that didn't work. I stayed there with her. KWS came, and they said, "What do you think, Katito? Because for yourself, you know she's not going to make." I say, "Yes, I know she's not going to make it. Just stay with her here, keep her company until her death, because I know she's going to die soon." The following day we were there. I had a jerrycan of water, 20 liters. I was just pouring into her ears just to make her cool
and comfortable.
And calm and comfortable. At around 2:30, 2:45 p.m. the following day, I look at her, I grab her head, and the family, normally they can tell, because how they can tell if the elephant is alive, the circulation of blood kind of stop, so it get cold. So they sense of the back of their feet. Ini did that. She sensed, and then she went back, and then she started to kind of moaning. She moved. I went. I touched her head. She looked at me, and she's kicking, and then the last kicking, and she spit urine, and then she died peacefully looking at me. So it was kind of so sad how she died, but normally we say it's okay, because she died because during drought and old age. It's not like somebody came and spear her. So I had that experience. I saw her death. It was so sad for me, but the way she died, it was okay. And then when the family realized she's dead, I went back to the car. I gave the family the respect to take it over. What she did, elephant, they can bury. What they did, the others started to dig and other getting branches so they can cover and bury her. So yeah, that the life of Echo, how she went. It's so sad,
and you were right there in the thick of it, and I can see it in your eyes now.
Yeah,
you're getting emotional, and it is emotional. It's making me emotional, Katito. But you know, what do you think that the future of these elephants here are, based on the work that you do? Because whilst that was a natural death with Echo, there is still hope, because you are one of the women that spends your time researching and out on the field with them. And that no doubt is helping in a big way.
I'm not looking to live to go somewhere else. I continue to do this until how many years I am. I'm praying God for me to give me, like, I can even reach 80 years. To do this, and I love to share my knowledge with other people, because it's kind of so sad, because in all over the planet, this is the research known, 3 ladies doing this.
Yes.
So we have to share the knowledge to others, so we cannot just leave it like that, because you are the one who know. I love to do that.
So you want to spread the word, spread the knowledge.
For the knowledge in the people, so the next generation come, they can continue and help and protect these animals.
Katito, you actually joined this project when you were just, what, 22 years old?
Yeah.
How did that happen? How did you become the woman you are today?
Myself, I'm a Maasai. I grew up here. My home area is 55 kilometers from here toward Mount Kilimanjaro.
So how did you then end up getting the job?
When I finished my O-level, I came to Amboseli kind of looking for a job. And lucky, I met Cynthia, and she said, because she had only 2 African ladies who were doing this, and then she said, I like to have this third person, so when one of them go on leave, 2 people been left. I came to fall in love. So I was so lucky when I was looking, and then I say, oh, okay, yeah, this is what I've been dying to have and to do. So she said, okay, come and work for probation of 3 months and see what we do things. And then I say, okay, I love this animal, but the way I'm seeing the people she employed, what they are doing, the idea. And before you have to do anything, you have to know each elephant individually by names. If you are taking notes, and you have to explain, so this is like the female one tusker. These are the Pisces family. This is Placida.
And you know that based on the research and work that you've done?
Yes, I know that. So even before, I used to have my small rough paper, I draw to know who is this and who is this, to differentiate them. Because when an elephant born with smooth ears, but they have different pattern of the veins. So because I had that interest and I've been dying to do this job and I love them from beginning, I had a lot of interest. So for me to ID them, it was just like this, because all my mind, I focused to everything, like just focusing on them. I have to do that because I love it. In 6 months, I started to kind of ID them, to know which is, because, you know, we started to take photograph when an elephant is 5 years old. So because by the time you start to see, at least they have different marks of the ears, the vein change, and the shape of the tusk change. Yeah, so for me to be with them for the last 20 years, I can even tell of the body shape and who is this and this. This is my favorite family.
Oh, it's these ones right here.
This is my favorite family. We had very huge, beautiful female, huge, know how to take care of the family. It was Placida, Phoebe, Pepita, and Patricia.
Wow, so you've been doing this for a long time and it doesn't seem like you're stopping anytime soon.
No, I'm not looking for anywhere else to go. I'm going to be here until the rest of my life.
Katito, keep up the great work. Thank you so much for your time.
I promise you, this is my life.
Thank you so much. You're doing an awesome job, but you're not the only one. There are other women, as you mentioned, and we are going to meet them. That is Nora, Vicky, and also Cynthia. You've been hearing the name Cynthia. We'll be meeting her as well. For now, though, we are going to head to the elephant research camp, and I'm about to meet Nora once again. So now I'm at the camp where plenty of research also takes place. And when you get here, what you will instantly notice is plenty and plenty of jaws and skulls, many of them belonging in fact to elephants and also to hippos and perhaps some other animals as well, buffaloes too. But I'm assuming that these skulls and jaws have a reason to be here. We're going to find out. Nora is lurking behind or amongst some of the jaws. I'm going to find her and we'll learn plenty more about how they relate to research. Hello, Nora.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good to see you again.
Nice too.
Nora, you know, you are a research assistant here at the camp and also on the field as well. But we're surrounded by jaws, elephant jaws. Tell us more about these.
Yeah, we have a lot of them in the camp because when an elephant dies, we wait about a month, 2 months, and we collect the lower jaw for the aging. It helps us for aging. And we use the lower jaw by aging. What I mean, elephants, they have 6 sets of teeth.
Okay.
And the set of the teeth just come from the back and push. And the elephants is being born by the first set of the teeth, like that. Now you can see a small one there.
Yes.
Being born with the first set of the teeth, like our baby milk teeth.
Yes.
So it push from the back.
Okay.
Towards, like example, like this one.
Right.
You see, like this one was just pushing when this elephant died.
Yes.
So it's pushed from the back, push, and small fall in small pieces, until the other one just form.
Okay.
Like now this one form up. Like this is the best one to add. For example, you see this now, the set of the teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, the set was, the other ones was being pushed from the back.
So how does this
that's
help?
why we collect, that you see there are so many in the camp, because we collect them, helping us to age the elephants.
Okay, so there's so many here, and I'm hoping that these elephants have all died from natural causes.
Yeah, most of the number of them here in the camp, the lower jaw, we collect them during drought. That was 08 and 09. So we lost about 400 elephants during the drought. Yeah, it was so sad to see them dying, because we were just seeing them just kicking, dying, the calves. By the way, that time I was almost to give up from this project, from the work, because I was so sad looking at them dying. It was very sad. So that's why we have the big number here for the lower jaw is from during the drought.
Wow, well, we'll talk more about your time here, Nora, but can we figure out, if we take one of these jaws, for example, how old an elephant was? Tell us how you work it out. What do you have to count?
Okay, first of all, when we take the lower jaw, we come and age. For example, like this one.
Oh, wow. And that let me see how heavy that is.
Yeah, it's very heavy.
My.
And by the way, it gets lighter. The more they get older, the more they get lighter because they don't have calcium. Nobody gives them calcium.
Oh my goodness, this is
yeah,
so
it's very heavy.
And this is just like the bottom jaw.
Yeah, exactly. This only the lower jaw.
Wow.
So what okay, you seen the set I was talking about?
Yes.
This set, the other set was coming in. So how we do to know how old was this elephant? We measure the length of this set, this set,
right.
the full set,
yes.
because this one is half set. And we measure the height and the width.
Okay.
And we have the graph where we look so that we can know which molar, whether it's molar 1 or molar 2 or molar 6. So I can guess that now this one was molar 5.
Okay.
The was coming in was molar 6.
Right.
So that's how we can tell. And now after measuring, we go to our table. We have a table and we can check from there which age was it from our measuring. That's how we can tell the
So
age.
do you know the age of this one, or you'd have to refer to the notes?
I have to refer to the notes.
Really,
So
these jaws aren't just here for decoration, as some people might think.
Yes, by the way, a lot of people think it's an elephant graveyard, but
yes.
it's for aging. We use them from aging.
Wow, so really so much effort does go into it as well. I also noticed some skulls. And I mean, that's huge. Tell us more about
the skull.
Yeah.
Okay, it's nothing to do with this the skull.
The research is nothing to do with
nothing to do with the skull, but sometimes we just take, if elephants were special, like near my tent there's a special elephant who died because of old age. So anyway, this is elephant skull. As you can see, their brain is not like our brain. It's just, the brain is just like a honeycomb. You see?
Oh, this is their brain?
The brain, this is the brain. Yeah,
what?
just like a honeycomb. So you see there's a skull, this is the eyes. This is where the trunk is supposed to be, this trunk. This is where the tusks are supposed to be. Here, you see the horse.
Oh, yes.
And this is very interesting. You see when they are tuskless, because of genetic, it's covered. You see this, there's a hole, it's covered because it was one tusker.
So this
elephant
one
was one tusker.
Wow.
You see, if they are born without tusk, it's covered completely like this. And this way you can see where the other tusk was.
Gosh, yeah, that is pretty amazing. Look at that brain.
Look at that brain.
News to me, I tell you. Oh wow, but of course this, you say, is not really used in research, it's just here.
Yeah, it's just
because
here.
You perhaps happen
it was
to
a
have
special elephant.
Well, you know, Nora, speaking about special elephants, really, what do elephants mean to you? You have been doing this, you've been a research assistant for 30 years. I mean, that's a long time to stay in one job. Let's walk and talk.
Elephants, they are special animals. By the way, they are special animals from other animals. And they have their personalities. They are so smart. After staying with them, I just feel like even I'm not staying with the animals. I feel like I'm part of my family. Really? By the way, when I go on my leave, I miss them.
Oh,
so
really?
I love them so much. I have attached with the elephants for staying with them for a long time.
But
knowing their behavior, knowing everything, what they do.
Where did this passion and love for elephants come from? Tell us, how did you join the research project?
I can say it just come automatically, because when I started this project, it was not my career. I was a teacher.
Really?
I was a teacher, and when I joined the project, I was just looking for a job, and I said no. Because my mind was just looking for money. So later, after staying with the elephants about 6 months, I was so attached. Even I didn't want to think. I was looking for a job, just look after the money.
Wow.
So I felt that I need to be with these elephants to conserve them, and I changed my mind completely, not thinking I want the job, but I want to stay with the elephant, conserve them. And yeah, that's why I don't know. I get so emotional when thinking about elephants. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
It just does something to you.
Yeah. Something, something special. I can say something special because even when I'm in the field, when I'm in the field looking for the elephants, even I don't remember that I'm there because I'm employed or I'm there because I want the job. I just feel that I need to be with them. I need to be with these elephants. And after staying with the elephants for a long time, you have special feelings. Even driving, you can just driving and look for elephants and you feel there's elephant that side. And you just turn and you see them.
Really?
So there's something come after staying with them for a very long time.
Nora, you spend a lot of your time here and with the elephants. Like you said, they're probably part of your family.
Yeah.
How does your family feel? Left out?
They think, sometimes they think I'm crazy. Nora, are you crazy just being attached with the elephant like this?
Really?
They don't understand. I try to explain to them. They don't understand the feeling. I think you get this feeling after staying with them, knowing them, knowing their personality, knowing how they think, knowing their behavior. That's the time you can understand. Even a lot of people, they just look at an elephant and say it's just an animal. But after knowing the behavior and knowing they think like us, knowing they behave like people, that's the time you understand what's the importance of the elephants.
And if you were to do anything else in the world, what would you be doing?
By now, I don't think so. I'm now spoiled completely. I don't think I can do something else.
So,
even if I leave this job, I don't think whether I can work anywhere else. I'll be just thinking I have to go back to the elephants.
Oh, Nora, that is a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And really, you can tell how passionate you are about doing this.
And I think that's why I'm a single mother and 2 boys. I don't think I can get married because maybe the husband will be telling me, no, you have to go to do something else. So I want to be single to make my decision with elephants.
Oh, wow.
And I think earlier I told you I have a boyfriend, Ian,
yes,
who died in 1994.
My condolences. That is Ian the elephant, actually, not a human being, but Nora's boyfriend, the elephant.
It was my boyfriend. So each of us, we have the favorite elephants we like so much. And you like them, not just looking and say it's a big male or by behavior.
And that's
because we know their
attraction.
behavior. Exactly.
So
you get so attached with them from their behavior.
Oh, Nora, well, thank you so much. Keep up the great work that you are doing. You certainly have dedicated your life and time, and clearly that's not going to change anytime soon.
No, I don't think so. I think I'll die here. I'll die here looking for elephants. I think I'll die in Amboseli. Even I do say when I die, I think I'll be buried in Amboseli with elephants.
Oh God!
I want them to mourn me.
Yeah.
I feel special with the elephants.
Yeah, well, that is emotional, and you've got me emotional too.
It's emotional.
Let's take a break, and here is a wild guess question.
Yeah.
What part of an elephant's body resembles a honeycomb? What part of an elephant's body resembles a honeycomb? Use the hashtag NTV Wild on Twitter or like our NTV Wild Facebook page and post your answer on the timeline. Answers sent via Facebook Messenger will not be considered. The first person to answer correctly wins one all-inclusive night for 2 people at the wonderful Porini Amboseli camp. The package includes day and night game drives, beverages and a visit to the cultural village. The winner also gets a gift hamper courtesy of Wildlife Direct and a bottle of wine courtesy of Wines of the World. Terms and conditions apply. Last week's lucky winner was Eddie Moores. Welcome back to NTV Wild Talk. Our question on Wild Guess is what part of an elephant's body resembles a honeycomb? What part of an elephant's body resembles a honeycomb? Use the hashtag NTV Wild on Twitter or like our NTV Wild Facebook page and post your answer on the timeline. Answers sent via Facebook Messenger will not be considered. The first person to answer correctly wins one all-inclusive night for 2 people at the wonderful Porini Amboseli camp. The package includes day and night game drives, beverages and a visit to the cultural village. The winner also gets a gift hamper courtesy of Wildlife Direct and a bottle of wine courtesy of Wines of the World. Terms and conditions apply. Last week's lucky winner was Eddie Moores.
So I'm still here at the Amboseli Elephant Research Camp, where a lot of activity takes place. People here study and research elephants, and now I am in fact going to meet the resident scientist. That is Vicky Fishlock, another woman that dedicates her time to elephants. This is where she lives, but also where she works. Hello, Vicky.
Hi, sweetie. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. This is awesome. So it is an incredible view, and of course, this is where you live and also work. But Vicky, you are the resident scientist here. What does that mean? What do you actually do?
Well, when I can, I get out with the elephants, but my job is mainly to take all the data and all those data points that Nora and Katito pick up every day and distill those into our research papers. And the reason that's really important is that you'll have seen out in the field that we follow the elephants here as individuals.
Yeah.
And the most important thing we've probably learned about elephants is they are individuals. We follow them because that's how they treat each other, but they're also hugely variable. So we haven't even been going for an elephant lifetime yet, and it's really hard to get those hard and fast rules that are the facts about elephant biology.
So you spend every day of your life pretty much studying and researching these elephants. But before we get deeper into that, why do you do it? What brought you here? I mean, you live in an incredible little spot here in Amboseli. It is quite random, some would think. But why? So why do you do it?
I actually started off working in Central Africa. So after university, I got the chance to go and work on gorillas in Congo, Brazzaville. And from there, I realised we didn't know very much about forest elephants, so I started putting together a PhD, understanding more about that. I've always been interested in animals like elephants that follow these very complex social lives.
Yeah.
It's got a massive cost in terms of the brain that you need and the strategies you follow, but it generates really interesting patterns from a biologist's point of view. So that's really how I got into elephants. And then when I finished up my work at my PhD, I was extremely lucky. They needed a scientist here, and I happened to fit the bill.
So how long have you been here for now?
It's 5.5 years now, which is wonderful.
And within that time that you've been studying elephants, what perhaps is the major finding that you've discovered whilst being here?
Well, I think that what makes Amboseli elephants so special is that they are the baseline population. They're basically what we can learn about elephants when they're largely left alone by humans. And that makes them increasingly precious and valuable, both as we know them better and because they're really probably the only elephant population you can say that about in the whole world now.
Really?
So it's becoming more and more important to understand them. The other thing that's happening is that things are changing even for Amboseli elephants. And some of those things are very positive changes. They're moving in different ways. But if we want to understand how elephants are going to survive and thrive more generally, this is the best place to start asking those questions.
What are some of the questions that you're asking about elephants?
Well, we are getting answers, but they come in incredibly slowly. Elephant lives unfold very, very slowly.
They walk very slowly as we also
pretty much
saw.
everything happens slowly with elephants. And so it takes a long time to get enough data to answer questions. So for instance, we just last year published a paper about female reproductive lives. Now, everybody assumed that elephants should kind of be like whales and chimpanzees and humans, that they should do menopause. The idea was that at some point it's more beneficial for females to invest in the kids they've already made and have, rather than keep making new ones. What we see in Amboseli is, although some females tail off in reproduction later in life, some females keep pushing calves out well into their 60s, and they're totally healthy, totally viable, have a great chance in life. But it's taken us 43 years to get enough data on those females, to follow enough females for long enough to be able to answer the question. And the answers are coming in,
Yeah.
but so slowly.
Sure.
And in the meantime, we're finding out all these other things that are raising new questions.
And what are some of these new questions that you now need to ask?
Well, I think one of the most important gaps in our understanding about elephants is what happens to males when they leave their families. So we know that males leave, and from our study of the families here in Amboseli, we can see that some males go very, very early, some go very late, some join up to another family, some disappear and they come back 10 years later. We have no idea who they are.
Wow.
And Nora and Katito and I sit there going, well, who are you? Where have you been? But what we understand is there's all this variation. Males, when they leave, we know that they go and use different areas. They're really the explorers in elephant society. If there's new areas of habitat opening up, they're the ones who will go first and females will follow later. And that's well documented from various other sites. So we want to understand what makes males go and what kind of strategies they can adopt in that process, because that's really important for understanding how populations are going to respond to changing land use, for changing corridors and all those kind of questions that everybody's so keen on right now. Also, they tend to be the males who are risk takers, and so they're the ones who are really coming up against the edges of human settlements. They're the class that we really need to understand about. And then more broadly, we're also asking questions about how are Amboseli elephants responding to the changes in human presence and pressure that are being placed on them.
And do you have answers yet to that?
Well, we're just starting to kind of formulate the questions, because we're just starting to be able to see that it's actually becoming the point where we can start seeing where these pressures are coming in. And so the security situation in Amboseli has been so great over the past few years that actually elephants are spending less time in the refuge of the park and more time out in the wider ecosystem. That's great for ecosystem functioning. It's much harder because what's happening is that elephants are moving into places people aren't used to seeing them. And that means you have naive encounters, we call them, where people don't understand how to be safe around elephants. They don't understand that elephants may be very, very slow one moment, like we said, but everything can change very quickly with them. And so a major, major conservation challenge for everybody with humans and wildlife is to manage that interface.
So, I mean, everything that you're saying sounds pretty remarkable, and a lot of the data and a lot of the findings are thanks to the work that also happens on the field. That's Nora and Katito's work. But take us through your day-to-day activity when we talk about a resident scientist.
Well, I joined the study to look at how families coped when they lost a lot of female leaders in 2009 after a terrible drought. So we saw unprecedented losses at that point. We lost almost 400 elephants. Some families lost not only their matriarch, their oldest female, but another 7 or 8 females. So we wanted to see how resilient are the Amboseli families to this, and how can they recover after this? And the answer is very, very well. And we set up a 5-year study because we wanted to look at how quickly families could reproduce, the interval between births, which is on average 5 years. So I'm working on those data right now, but in that period I was spending a lot of time with a core number of families, looking at what the relationships looked like, and do we see changes as a result of this loss? Do elephants have to spend more time negotiating about where they want to go and who they want to hang out with? And so, what does that mean for them?
Vicky, pretty much everything that we know today about elephants is thanks to research and data and everything that goes into it and comes with it.
Research and data, and then the telling those data stories, which is really important, and that's kind of the 2 arms to our work. Firstly, to collect the information, to figure out what the patterns are, and then to communicate that, both in very formal publications in the scientific literature that then governments and conservation bodies can use to make policies, and then also to reach out to people and tell the individual stories, using those stories to illustrate those biological.
Vicky, just finally, what keeps you going?
Elephants are just wonderful to spend time with, and I think that's the unending questions. We always want to know what happens next. Who are we going to see? Nora and Katito and I will come back at lunchtime. We'll be like, you'll never guess who I saw Sadie with.
Really?
She was over here. And so that just keeps us going. There's just always something new and there's always something different. And I can't imagine ever being bored by that.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much for your time, Vicky. I'm sure you have plenty to get on with. so we leave you to it. But thank you and good luck. And we look forward to more findings that no doubt hopefully won't take too long.
I hope so too.
In just a moment, I am going to meet the woman behind the Amboseli Trust for Elephants. That is Cynthia Moss. Cynthia, thanks very much for your time. First and foremost, why did you come to Kenya?
Oh, well, I came as a tourist originally. I came, it was a very, very long time ago, before you were even born. I came in 1967, and I fell in love with the country and the whole of East Africa. And I was lucky enough to be able to volunteer on a project in Tanzania for 3 weeks. And it happened to be an elephant project. So I became very, very involved with elephant research and conservation. And I actually eventually went back to New York, where I'm from. But I was invited to come back and work on that project for permanently, and or at least for a time. And it was a hard decision to make, but I did, and I've never regretted it for a moment.
Wow, so you have been here for so many years, and the Amboseli Trust for Elephants has been in existence for so many years as well. How and why did you found it?
We were alerted to the fact that Amboseli was a special place by an ecologist working here at the time named David Western. And he said, why don't you come down and have a look as a study site? So we came down here on September 1st, 1972.
Wow.
And that's actually when the project started, because we started, excuse me, we started photographing the elephants for ID photos, and realized that it was a very good place to study elephants. And the main reason being that it was a very undisturbed population at the time, or relatively undisturbed, let's put it that way. In the rest of Africa, elephants were losing a lot of land, and they were being forced into protected areas. In fact, in the park I worked in Tanzania, they had lost 50% of their range in the previous few years. You know, it was really, you know, it was just agriculture and human population growth. Whereas Amboseli was still very open, and elephants were still moving in and out of the central area. On migration routes they'd used for, you know, thousands of years. And so it was still very open and wild and free in that sense. And what we wanted to do was study a natural population, to get baseline information on how a natural population operates, what its needs are, in order to help with the conservation of all elephants. So we wanted to do individual recognition and follow the lives through from birth to death of individuals. So we started putting together the who spent time with whom, so that gives us an idea of who belongs to the families. And then in 1975, I set up on my own and set up a camp here. So the really full-time study started in 1975.
And it goes on till today.
Yes.
No doubt a lot has been achieved in the years gone by.
Yes.
What perhaps has been your biggest success?
I think our biggest success is just describing elephant life and elephants, particularly elephants' social life and behavior. And we've, you know, published many, many books and articles and scientific papers on different aspects of elephant behavior that were not well known or were not known at all. And it's opened up people's eyes to elephants, how complex they are, and how intelligent and how endearing actually they are. And I think this has helped tremendously in their conservation. And to me, that's the big success, that we've been able to show people what elephants are. And part of that was not just through our scientific work, but through the films I've made with others here.
Right, and one of those films was Echo, the
Yes.
elephant. Tell us a little bit more about that film, and why was it so special, and why was Echo such a special individual?
We weren't aware how bad the poaching was in Kenya until about 1987, when one of my colleagues, Ian Douglas Hamilton, did a count of Tsavo. And where there had been 42,000 elephants, he found only 6,000 left. And for every live elephant, there were 3 carcasses. And that just blew us away. You know, we didn't realize it was that bad. I mean, it was tremendously horrible. You know, we lost 90% of Kenya's elephants in a 15-year period. And that count and that realization that poaching was actually totally out of control changed my view of what I should be doing. So I had been being contacted by a producer, a BBC producer, for several years. She was actually a friend as well as a producer, and she kept, come on, you have to do a film. We have to. And I said, no, I'm busy doing my research, you know, and I don't want to do a film. But then when we found this out, I said, all right, we have to put aside, not altogether put aside the research, but just concentrate a little bit more on awareness, raising awareness and advocacy. And so I contacted Marion Zunz, her name was, and I contacted her and I said, all right, I'm ready to do a film now. I want to show people what they're losing by losing elephants. What Marion wanted to do was follow one family. And really, really, every time you said that was Echo or that was Echo's son, it really was. We wanted to be honest and really do it properly. And we set out to follow a family, and I chose Echo because she was very distinctive looking, because she had her crossed tusks, and I thought the audience can at least get to know Echo. And also she was more of a homebody than some of the other elephants. She could be found fairly easily. You know, we didn't put any radio collars on them, but she could be found. And the family was just about the right size to be able to follow. So we set out, and then we you know, we would go out with them every day, and we sort of, after about a month, we started to get worried. We said, you know, nothing's really happening. You know, they're just, you know, they're out there, and you know, it's nice, but nothing's happening. Right. So then I decided to look up the records of the mating and you know, the estrus records for the elephants, to see in the family, to see if anybody was due to have a calf. And I looked it up, and I saw that Echo herself was due to have a calf in late February, March. So that was very exciting. So, well, we hoped it was. I mean, sometimes you see mating and they don't, you know, they don't actually get pregnant, but in this case she did. And one morning we got up and went out, and we found her with a brand new calf. And that calf couldn't stand. That was Eli. And that's made the film. You know, I mean, he had his carpal joints were bent in because he was a very big calf, and she was a relatively small elephant. And this happens in horses sometimes and a few other species. So he couldn't stretch, he couldn't move, he couldn't walk, you know, on his feet. He could only walk on his carpal joints. And it was terrible to look at. I said, Martin, I'm not going to even watch this. You know, I said, and but he continued to follow, and over a 3-day period, his name was, we named him Eli. He started to stretch out his legs, and he worked at it and worked at it and worked at it. He almost never rested, and eventually he stood up, and it was like a miracle. You know, it was so good, and it really touched people. And the way that Echo and her older daughter, Enid, never gave up on him. And that, I think that alone, just that scene and that whole sequence about Eli changed people's minds.
I can imagine such a powerful story, and a true story as well. Cynthia, what perhaps have been some of the challenges that you faced here?
When I started, the Amboseli was run by the Kenya National Parks, which existed back in the 60s, I guess. No, yeah, 60s and 70s, and then it was taken over in 1974, 75 by the Wildlife Management Conservation and Management Department. Those were bad years. Everybody admits that. That's when all the poaching happened, and it was tough. It was tough. That was, you know, there was no longer the national parks. The WCMD was doing most of the poaching, you know, and luckily we managed to keep it away from Amboseli, but partly because we were here on the ground, we were eyes and ears, and also because the Maasai are very, very important to this elephant population, of how they have accept them, they tolerate them, and they didn't tolerate poachers coming in. So we were very lucky. But you know, we had a few incidents when the actual wildlife department was starting to poach, and we managed to get in the few honest people up there. And then it became so bad, you know, I just said in 1987 we realized how serious the poaching was. And luckily at that point, let's see, President Moy had Richard Leakey start up the Kenya Wildlife Service, and then things changed. He really cleaned everything up, and but you know, there were other challenges. It's never been easy, but that was probably the worst period, and it's a miracle. And I really do give the Maasai the credit for keeping the poachers out of here in those years. We did lose elephants to poaching, but it's the only population in Kenya that grew in the 80s rather than reduced. Wow. Hugely.
And when we look ahead at the future, what is your vision for the trust and also for our elephants?
Our big challenge is human population growth and movement and the change in land use between now and, you know, and what will happen when everybody wants land, and we've got problems with people setting up, you know, doing agriculture in elephant habitat, because elephants and agriculture cannot mix. There's just no way. And but elephants and pastoralism can mix. So if we can keep some of this land open to pastoralism and with Maasai group ranches or whatever community land, then the elephants here can continue to move in and out. What is now a park, when I started it was a big reserve of 3,000 square kilometers. Now it's a small park of only 390 square kilometers. The people around us are also trying their best. I mean, we've got a very good organization called the Amboseli Ecosystem Trust, which is the landowners around us, the group ranches and the private landowners, working together to try to maintain this ecosystem. And I'm hoping, and I have some faith that will happen.
And finally, Cynthia, what do elephants mean to you? What does it for you when you think of the elephants and spend time with them?
Yeah, I think of very, very intelligent, social, empathetic, amusing, endearing animals. I mean, they're just, it's just a joy to be with them. It really is. And I think anybody who spends any time with them comes to the same conclusion, that these are very special animals and they need to be saved.
They certainly do, and we certainly do encourage our viewers, everybody watching, to come and spend time with these elephants, because you won't really know it unless you're with them. Cynthia, thank you so much for your time, much appreciated.
You're very welcome.
With me, Cynthia Moss, the director of the Amboseli Trust for Elephants here in Amboseli National Park. All right, this has been NTV Wild Talk. It's been all about elephants, 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 and now it's time to shift focus. We are featuring some of the photos that you sent in on our Wild Pick segment.
This is Barry Limo at the Amboseli Hills in Baringo. He was simply capturing nature and says he's building a North Rift travel info and tourist guide website and intends to use some of his photos on the site. At the Baboon Cliffs in the Lake Nakuru National Park, this is Sophia Luca. He was enjoying the scenery in our diverse ecosystem and says he loves nature very much and is passionate about it. Peter Mwiruri was tree hugging in the Meru National Park. He says it was a traditional tree and the tallest in the park he was enjoying with friends. This is a photo of Solomon Karobia and his wife. They were in Ukunda at the south coast on holiday, posing by an artist's description of an elephant made of sand. And they took this picture, why? Because hands off our elephants, he says. At the Sheldrick Falls in the Shimba Hills National Park, this is Tabitha Dowdy. She was posing by the waterfalls and she says they are important to her and to the ecosystem. If you want your photos showcased on our Wild Pick segment, just like our NTV Wild Facebook page and send a photo that shows you celebrating nature via private message. Include your full name, tell us where the photo was taken, what you were doing and why.
And now here's what's coming up on the NTV Wild documentary series on Saturday night.
Thousands of years ago, pastoralist peoples moved slowly through the African continent with their cattle, sheep and goats. Lion killing became a ritual for any young warrior wanting to prove himself. 80 years on, the sun rises on a different world, where it is no longer fashionable for people in the Masai Mara to kill lions. Instead, they benefit from conserving their old enemies. Unforgettable sights can be witnessed by any visitor prepared to spend the time to wait and watch the endless unfolding dramas.
So you have met 4 incredible women who have their own amazing personal stories, but who are doing amazing work just to ensure that the future of these elephants is safe and protected. And their work does go to show that the future is indeed bright. That's it on NTV Wild Talk with me, Smriti Vidyarthi. We say thank you to the Altakai Lodge for accommodating us here in the Amboseli National Park. See you again Tuesday, 10 p.m.
NTV Wild Talk in partnership with the Kenya Wildlife Service and Wildlife Direct.